If you missed Government Contracting 101 live last night, this is going to be the video that's going to catch you up to speed. Last night live was just an overview of government contracting. You didn't miss much, but you might have missed a lot at the same time. First, I went over how the United States is the single most largest purchaser of services and goods in the world, and that they actually spent over $7.9 trillion last year doing so. Then I went on to talk about the 200 different agencies inside of the government, and then I put a red dot next to the ones that I know for certain purchases the courier services and just transportation in general. And then right after that, I went on to talk about just the other services that the government actually purchased, and that no matter what you do as a side business or what profession that you're in, most likely there's a government contract inside of it, from IT services, transportation and logistics, professional consulting, food services, temporary staffing, printing and publishing, janitorial, landscaping, HVAC, marketing, electrical, nursing, construction, hairdresser, which is barber as well, language, translators, vending machine services, pest control, power washing, debris removal, and vehicle maintenance. These are just a few. I just wanted to point out the few that I see on the regular that you should probably, if you do any one of these on the side, you probably should want to get into government contracting. Even down to being the barber. If you're a barber, have a barber license, and you cut hair, most likely there's a youth center in your area that actually has a contract waiting on you. Then I went on to show different contracts that are active at this moment, has a solicitation out looking for somebody to actually submit a proposal. From this right here, lab courier service, which for those people who are inside of the whole medical courier, if that's what you do, you should be looking for contracts like this. To the public health nursing. If you're a nurse and you want to start your own business, there are contracts out there looking for different nurses. Can y'all see this all the way? Let's get that right there. And then this one right here was just the transit system in different cities. I want to show that every city has a transit system and that they actually have contracts as well. This right here was for a school district inside of Arizona, and I want to let you guys know that there are school districts in your area that have procurement boards and they have contracts readily available, that you need to be looking for these contracts that are right in your backyard. To this is another second call courier service, meaning this is another contract that actually was displayed, nobody answered it, and they put it out again for the second time, and for all they know, nobody might not answer again. And this one's actually in Florida. And if you're actually in Florida and you're looking for a courier contract, this one is located, the agency name for this one is St. John Rivers Water Management District. So you might want to go ahead and look for them. Then this right here is another one for Chicago Public Schools up in Chicago. If you're in Chicago and you're looking for contracts, you need to check in with your local school district. This one right here was for this is actually the contract for the barber. So I don't know if you can see it down here. It says barber and hairdresser. So this contract was actually looking for a barber, and this was for a youth center. And I talked about how a lot of different foster homes. So if you got foster homes in your area, they are looking for contracts for people to come in, cut their hair, do their hair. They have a lot of contracts, that are catering for those children. So right after that, I went on to show more schools. I pulled up a lot of school procurement boards because the schools are the ones that people are really kind of sleeping on. So, so this another school. This is down in Galveston, a janitorial contract. And then I went on to talk about the different procurement boards, that there are procurement boards on the federal level, the state level, and the local level. So I don't know if you can see all of that. So federal, state, and local level. So on the federal level, of course, we got SAM.gov, and then after that, which pretty much everybody knows about SAM.gov as far as in looking for contracts. But then right after that, you can go directly to the different departments, which is the VA. You got FEMA, DOD. Every agency pretty much has a way to where you can come in and get contracts for them. Then you got on the state level, from every state, Texas, California, Georgia, all of them have their own procurement board. And if you're looking for the procurement board in your area, go to mygovpal.com and then go over to the state page. And once you get on the state page, it has a map. And whatever state that you're in, you can click on that map and it's going to take you to your state's procurement board. And then I go over to local. On the local side, you got your city, your county, your transit system, your hospitals, your school districts, and then also your private businesses. So yes, once you know about government contracting, you know about the procurement process, you know how that whole system works, you can actually start getting contract with different private businesses. Private businesses like AutoZone, O'Reilly's, Walmart, Target, all of these private businesses go through the procurement process as well, and they really love it when you have those set aside certifications, because when they get contracts with the government, they could turn around and they get kickbacks for having contracts with you as well. Then I go on to talk about the IDIQ contracts, the ones that are with FEMA, VA, DOD, and USPS. These are contracts that you pretty much don't have to fight for on the regular. These are contracts that are usually has a term basis, just like everybody's signing up with FEMA right now. You just got to meet the qualifications. Once you meet the qualifications, you get inside of those doors with FEMA, and then you're good for the next year. But inside of that contract season, which for FEMA starts really off in July, you can have a contract pretty much at any time. It goes up and down, but those are pretty much like guaranteed work. Once you get in with FEMA, once you get in with VA, once you get in with DOD, all you got to do is just keep up with your requirements, and then when they start having contracts available, you're already in with them. So all you got to do is just answer your emails at that point. And I went on to talk about how government contracting changed my life. It changed how I view business. It changed how I do business. Learning that whole acquisition process and just how to present myself, how to submit proposals, how to answer solicitations or analyze solicitations. It taught me so much just about business in general and how to establish different business relationships and actually cherish them and grow those different business relationships. Yeah, government contracting did all that for me in my business. Then I went on to talk about the two different approaches of government contracting. This is just something that I actually came up with myself after being inside of the industry and analyzing what is making certain people successful and what's making people not successful, the different kind of businesses that they actually have and the way that they are actually approaching government contracting. And the very first one is the supplemental portion business, meaning that you have a niche. You run a business full time, but you supplement some of your business income by doing government contracting. You might do government contracting, maybe 10 to 20% of your business is just government contracting. But outside of that, outside of government contracting, you still service the public and other private businesses. And the other approach is you are a full-time service provider for the government. You really don't care about what contract that you get. You are just full time. You want to get a contract, it doesn't matter. It could be here, it can be there. Your whole business is based around providing or actually answering solicitations, submitting proposals, getting contracts, being a middleman. And it really doesn't matter to you what contract it is, because for you it's all about the money, and you have no other income besides just doing government contracts. And then I talk about the pros and cons of both. Now, the pros of both is in a supplemental niche, meaning just maybe 10 to 20% of your business is government contract, is you have stronger relationships and subcontracting opportunities. They're stronger. You're locally known most of the time, or you should be locally known. It's easier compliance for you because you know that industry. So when it comes to actually submitting that proposal, you know everything about that industry. So creating a proposal for you is just easy. And you also have a well configured proposal, because when you're answering that solicitation, you know exactly what they're talking about, and you know the dynamics, the ins and out of that business. So your proposal should be a whole lot well maintained. And on the other side, on the full-time any service, meaning you just full-time, you trying to answer any contract. The pros of that is you have more contracting opportunities because there's contracts everywhere, and you are full-time, you just want to answer any contract, you just trying to obtain any contract. So you actually now have more contracting opportunities. Then I have more relationships. Remember, I said more relationships, not stronger relationships, but you should have more relationships. Then you're going to have a higher earnings from contracting because you're full-time. You getting contracts, it don't matter to you what kind of contract you get, you just want your piece of the pie. So those are the actual pros of it. Now, the cons of a supplemental niche is you have less opportunities. So if I wanted to stick to only courier contracts, well, if there's only 2 different courier contracts inside of my area, then I'm bidding on those 2. And if I don't win those 2 courier contracts, then I gotta wait till courier contracts come back around. And then they are usually only able to do local contracts. So if you're looking for, and especially if you're the type that says, I want to just do my own vehicle, I got my own Sprinter van, I want to do courier contracts, and I need it to be in my area. Well, you just shrunk your contracting opportunities from here all the way to down here, because you only want to do your area, and you want to be the one that drive the vehicle. You're not necessarily looking for contracts in other cities and other states, so you're very niched down. But you should have stronger relationships, and the people in your area should know you. Now, let's go to the cons of actually the full-time any service contracts. Now, the cons of that are weaker relationships. When I say weaker relationships, when contracting officers think of a contract, they don't necessarily think about you, because you don't necessarily have a niche. You're doing any and everything. Versus if you're niched down to having a courier contract, and I talk about the courier contract that I recently had received. I received that contract from the contracting officers because they knew and they know who I am and what I do, so they reached out to me. Now, when you're the type that just it don't matter what kind of contract you want to do, you usually have weaker relationships because they don't necessarily think of you when there's a contract coming on their table just specifically about anything. And then you are constantly looking for contracts. Now, I mean, that's a con, but in reality, it's kind of what you signed up for anyway. You should be constantly looking for contracts every day. That's really your full-time job. And then you have a higher risk of subcontracting with the wrong companies. Meaning, if you're trying to find a contract in another city or state, and you're steady looking for subcontractors, that means you have less time to spend vetting your subcontractors. So that's going to give you a higher risk of actually contracting or subcontracting with the wrong people. Now, both of those are totally fine. You can make money doing both. It's good to do. Just do any one of them. That's how I feel. I feel that you should be approaching the government to do government contracting in one of the 2. But the issue comes when you try to mix the 2. Mixing the 2 is when you start to really have problems. And then on top of that, without analyzing your environment, your capabilities, your finances, and your life situations, all of that is going to play a part of your success inside of government contracting. Because if you are in a destitute area, meaning you're in the middle of nowhere, meaning that's your environment, and you lack a lot of money, so your finances are not right, and then you're saying, I only want to do a courier contract, so now you're niched down. And then on top of that, they don't actually have a lot of contracts that much, so now you're niched inside of an area that's destitute, when you inside of an area that's destitute should be the type of person that's just a full-time service and contracts, because you're not in the situation to be picky. So like for me in Dallas, Texas, I'm in a city it has Texas, it has Dallas, Fort Worth, Mesquite, Plano, just all of the sub cities all around Dallas. I can stay right here in Dallas. I can be a courier service because there's cities, there's ISDs all around me, there's transit systems all around me. But if you're in an area to where you don't have all that around you, you should really look more into being the full-time contract service provider, because you don't have the room to be niched down unless you already have you're making money full time. Now, if you're making money full time already, and then you say you only want to do the courier contracts, now that's fine, because your income is already there. And then when those courier contracts do come around every blue moon, you can go ahead and bid on them. But at that time, they're only a small percentage of the money that you actually make. So you get where I'm coming from when I talk about the 2 different approaches and not mixing the 2. Then I go to talk about the common reasons why I see people not having success in government contracting. And that's after doing consultations. That's after me being in the industry for a long time and observing different people. And one of the biggest reasons, can you see that, is first, of course, the issues I just talked about mixing the 2. And then you just don't 100% understand the industry that you're trying to get into. So you might niche yourself down, meaning you're getting into government contracting and you saying, hey man, I want to do notary.
And so you decided to be a notary today and you only want to provide a notary service, but you don't really quite understand the ins and out of being a notary, and you're looking for a notary contract and you don't know how to answer solicitations. You don't know how to do the financial part of it. So you're just totally lost in it because you really just don't understand that industry like that. So those are the ones that really struggle with finding success. And then we go to, you just give up too early. Some people get in, they submit 1 or 2 proposals, and then after they submit 1 or 2, they give up. When, to be honest, this is really becomes a full-time job. And if you only submitted 2 proposals, submitting 2 proposals should only take you a week, maybe 2 weeks. So you get a week or 2 weeks into it, and then you're really quitting. But you might also have a full-time job on the side and other things that's actually taking up your time. But when it comes to actually submitting proposals, you really kind of fall short, and then you feel like you did a lot, but in reality, you really didn't do a lot. All you really did was just you did your foundational parts. You did the part where you're supposed to get your LLC. You went and got your MBE certification, women-owned certification. You did everything that it took you just to become stable, just your foundation. And then when it actually came time to actually do business, you actually gave up early. You looked at, you analyzed 2 different solicitations. You submitted 2 different proposals. You didn't win those 2 different proposals. That affected you mentally, and then you gave up on it, when in reality, there's going to be a ratio to contracts to where you're going to lose and you're going to win. So right now, with me having an established business, with my ratio being 1 out of 5, meaning 1 out of 5 contracts that I actually submit a proposal to, I win. That lets me know off the back, I'm not gonna win this one, this one, this one, this one. I should win that 5th one, because I'm submitting so many different proposals now that I actually can make a chart. I can actually do the math on it to what's the percentage that it's going to take for me to actually win the contract. And with you having a brand new business, for you, it might be 1 out of 10. And so you submitted 10 different proposals, and then on number 11, you already gave up, so you wouldn't even know your math. You have to keep submitting proposals and keep going and keep learning your business if that's what you want to do full time. Now, then there's the one-person team. The one-person team is just the person that's trying to do everything, and you really are falling short because you got so much on your plate, this was especially for the ones that have the trucking companies or the carrier companies, and you're trying to be the driver, you're trying to be the dispatcher, you trying to do your administrative part, you messing up on answering emails, you trying to answer the calls, you trying to make sure shipments there on time, you're trying to do a lot on top of getting into government contracting. So you as one person, you're trying to deal with so much, and then you're accomplishing, but you're accomplishing either very slow, or you just can't handle that much pressure, because at the end of the day, you got to sleep sometimes. So those are also the ones that either have slow to little progress or no progress at all. And then I just go to the administration needs improvement. Meaning there's just some people who you just don't answer your emails, or you're not answering your calls. Opportunity is passing you by because you're not actually logging on to these procurement boards and seizing these contracts when they become available. And that usually happens also when you're a one-person team. Last but not least, we get to the homework. Yes, this is going to be one of those fun classes to where we have movie homework sometimes. Now, it's not going to be a movie every time, but the homework is going to be War Dogs. Look up this movie, watch this movie. If you haven't watched this movie, watch it. Make sure you take notes on this movie from the second that movie actually starts. You need to start taking notes all the way up until the end. And then when the next live happens, we're going to have a discussion just about this movie and just what you should have taken from that movie. And I want you to take notes. So I don't want to give up too much right now, but I want you to really take notes on this movie, because I'm going to dive deep and there are some lessons that you should learn. So I need you to, if you done watched it before, watch it again, but this time pay attention to everything. You feel me? And then other than that, if you missed me just answering questions and giving my feedback, you really need to be live for that, because those times was golden, because people was asking questions. I was able to answer their questions. And some of that stuff, I can't even remember what some of the questions was, so I can't even repeat it. But those are the things that you need to actually tune into especially when we just doing a live and people just asking questions. That gives me an opportunity to run my mouth. I talked about me being a yapologist, and I can yap. And when I'm yapping, if you're inside of my program already, you already know that if you just let me talk and you let me run my mouth, I'm going to give you all the information that you need. But other than that, see you on the next live. Don't forget this homework.